And we're back.
And we're back.
And we're back. Shiva School show. To the Rebbitzin. And we're back. And the Yidden were leaving a Yid hanging. It's a good thing that we got and we're backer. How's everybody doing today?
Good, good.
Yeah, DJ, what?
So good, good. How are you?
Baruch Hashem. I wanted to start share, as is the minhag of Yeshiva School show. We did this during the pandemic when we had unlimited shirim. So I'm just going to start, but we start share just with what's going on. I saw a video today by Andrew Tate saying that Israel must have known about the attack on Shmini Atzeres, because how is it possible that they wouldn't be ready to fight back? And so we weren't sure about Andrew Tate, but now we can see that he's controlled opposition by where he goes next. So he brings up the real point, which is the counter narrative to the narrative that we're being given, the narrative that most people hold. But he says, oh, it must be that Israel's doing it as a kind of sacrificing your pawn, then you can take back and then maybe fork another piece. That Israel's doing this in order to be able to decimate Gaza. That was what Andrew Tate said. And that is the controlled opposition. That is not what's going on. That's what they do. They give you the mainstream media position, and then they like let these countercultural people that they really are controlling, and they give some of the truth, but some of the lies, and keeping people all confused. It's called controlled opposition. The truth is that, and this is where we're holding now in Yeshiva School show, is that Hamas is not really Muslims. This isn't like Israel versus Muslims, like they're trying to divide and conquer and trying to tell us what it is. The truth is that Hamas is agents of the pagan, pedophilic Roman Empire, and they're an asset of the United Nations, ergo the Roman Catholics. You know, Roman Catholics at their core, they're pagan. We spoke about this many times in Shiva School show, that they never became like accepting Christianity. When Constantine did it in the 3rd century, when he adopted Christianity to the Roman Empire, the pagan Roman Empire, it was a military tactic, not a religious change of heart. Catholic doesn't even mean Christian. It means universal Romanism, which is what they're trying to do. And they have the whole UN. Hamas is satanic pagans, right? And so is every other United Nation globalist country, including Israel, including the United States. And so if Israel let this happen, or to whatever degree they let this happen, it is not like in order so that Israel can go and attack, and it's Israel versus Hamas, it's Jews versus Arabs, Jews and Arabs, we are brothers. That's the truth. Cousins, at least, and we love each other. It's not the oppressed Palestinians and the oppressed Israelis and the oppressed Americans. We're all oppressed in our ways, and Hamas is a vassal of the idolatrous pagans. And so if Israel let them in, it was only playing both sides of the war, like the UN is doing in Ukraine and Russia, like they've always been doing. This is what I think Orwell spoke about this in 1984. He says that they never want the wars to end. This is a perpetual war, and it never will end, just so they can continue taking human sacrifices. Because we know that we're dealing with the Romans. Yeah, I'm saying they don't want the war to end. It's a good point, Rivka. When Mashiach comes to me, it's Hashem. Mashiach could be, it's that we're in the days of Mashiach now. when the days of Mashiach in Yerushalayim coming at you. Daf Nun Aleph Amud Beis Yeshivas Gula Show, and we're learning this idea of an Ir Nidachas, a city which is majority is pagan idolaters, and that might be what Hamas is. Hamas might have this din. The pasuk says about it, Abeid Tavdun, as Kol Mikomos Asher Avdu Shamagoyim, destroy these places. But Rabbi Yishmael says, no, it's not that we have to completely level these places. It's just that we do a targeted attack and take out the kalim that were used for Avodah Zarah. And with that in mind, Rabbosai, that's what we're holding now. Amar Mar, the master says, "B'kelim shenishtamshu b'hem la'avodas kochav makasav mitaber." When the pasuk Abeid Tavdun is talking, it's talking about the kalim that were used for Avodah Zarah. It's not talking about destroying the entire place. And if what we're learning with, according to how we're learning what Gaza really is, that they're part of the shiabud, part of the pagans, so then they might actually have a din that the majority of them are over the Avodah Zarah, but not all of them, importantly. And therefore, the Torah is telling us how to react and what to do. So we got to get to the bottom of it. We started it yesterday. Amar Mar b'kelim shenishtamshu b'hem la'avodas kochavim, with kalim that were used for idolatry. Custom medaber. That's what I'm talking about. Ha mikomos ksiv I. Isn't it talking about places? Mikomos. It says that you destroy the place. It doesn't say what Rabbi Yishmael says, that you just destroy targeted attacks of the Avodah Zarah. We're missing a few yids, but we're missing shteigs, and so I'm just texting him to remind him, because shteigs has been with us this entire Masechta, and so I don't want him to miss out. And also, we love his presence and we love his insights. All right. Oh, H. Vus machst du Yid? Speaking of another Yid who's very valuable to the yeshiva, and we appreciate his presence, Shkayach, Rabbi Harry.
Teamwork and dreamwork.
Dreamwork. So it says that even though the verse says that you destroy an Ir Nidachas, and Gaza might have the din of Ir Nidachas, and the pasuk says you destroy the entire place, but Rabbi Yishmael says no, you do a targeted attack and only take down the kalim shenishtamshu b'hem la'avodas kochavim. You take down the idols themselves. You take down the root, but you don't just decimate the entire place, as it might have sounded the implication from the Torah. This reminds me a little bit of an eye for an eye. The pasuk says an eye for an eye, but we don't actually take a person's eye. Chazal tell us no, it's just talking about monetary, right? Or other cases where Chazal understood the deeper meaning of the verse. So here it seems that Rabbi Yishmael says, no, you're not actually leveling the entire city of an Ir Nidachas. You're just taking out the Avodah Zarah, you're eradicating the Avodah Zarah. So the Gemara says, well, if you're going to say that, you still have to stem with the pasuk. If you're going to say that, if it says that you destroy the place. So it says the Gemara, Im eno Indian l'mekomos. If it's not about the places, of Avodah Zarah, the lo mitzri, because we see from another verse that they actually did not become asur. If it's not the places of Avodah Zarah, because we see from another pasuk that they're not asur. What's the other pasuk? Elohim al harim. It says, right? in the same pasuk, Abedav Dunas Kol Mekomos, destroy all the places, Asher Avdu Sham HaGoyim, that the Goyim worship, Asher Adem Yorshim Osam, that you are going to inherit, as Elohim Alaharim, you take down their gods on the mountains, Alaharim, Haramim, the high mountains, Ve'al Gavos, V'tachas Kol Yisranan, and on the hills and under the tree. So we see that we're not destroying the places. We're not able to destroy the mountain. You don't have to destroy the tree, or maybe in the tree's case, but it's saying under the tree. You have to see, and the hill. We don't destroy the hill. And if their God is under the tree, so then only in as much as that implies, and that means that they're also worshiping the tree, would we destroy the trees? But in this case, we're talking about their gods under the tree. So it wouldn't be even destroying the trees. You don't flatten the whole city. And we have to see, is this actually Mamish talking about Ernie Tachas? Maybe this is a different thing. We gotta just be super, super clear. And we're still learning the sugya. If Hamas would and we're back.
And we're back.
And we're back. We're still in the sugya if Hamas would qualify as this makom asher mekomos asher avdu sham hagayim. But Rabbi Yishmael says, even though it says you destroy the places, really it just means to destroy the Avodah Zarah in the place. So below it says Elohim Harim, their gods on the mountains. Below Harim Elohim, but the mountains, Shalom Aleichem Us. A big
Aleich
a huge
Mashuvim.
addition to Yeshivas Gula Show. Every time you come,
Thank you.
you make Shir much brighter, and not only because of the glare.
On my forehead.
No, I wasn't going to say nothing. I was leaving that for DVJ. I was only digging the board Teisha Amos of Lashon Hara. And I'll leave it. I'm just joking. Much love to Ush. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
So the Gemara says, how is it possible that the pasuk says you destroy all the places of Avodah Zarah? And Rabbi Yishmael says, no, it's just taking down the Avodah Zarah. He says, because we already see in the same pasuk that it doesn't talk about destroying the mountain, destroying the tree, destroying the hill. It's only destroying the Avodah Zarah that's on the mountain or under the tree. So we see there's no din of taking down, of leveling the entire Irani Dachas, which Gaza might qualify for. But the din is targeted attacks, says Rabbi Ishmael. So if it's not an Indian for the place that you're destroying all the places, Taneyu Indian the Kalim. So then teach that it's an Indian for the vessels. Teach that it's an Indian for the vessels. The idolatry itself, but not just taking down the entire city. Taneyu Indian the Kalim. So Mikan Amru. Again with Mikan Amru. Rabbi Yishmael, the Halig of Rabbi Yishmael, loves a good Mikan Amru. I would underline it if I had a pen, which I had at one point. But Meretz Hashem, a pen will materialize. The Babishter provides. Meretz Hashem, shteig and da. So teach it that it's Indian of Kilim. Mikana really say Avodah Kochavim shall Oved Kochavim. The idolatry of an idolater ain't a surah ad shete Oved. From here we can say that from here we can say that the Avodah Zarah of idolaters is not Azr until they worship it. But the Avodah Zarah of an Israelite is Azr Miyad. How can we see that? How can we see that from that? From the fact that we have a different pasuk telling us the makom of the Avodah Zarah, that the Avodah Zarah is not usher until it's worshipped of an idolater, because right here it's talking about Avodah Zarah of an idolater, and it's not until it gets to the place where it's worshipped that they're telling us to destroy it. Maybe we have to see Rashi, but maybe that's the pshat. Asks the Gemara, "V'habi kalim ukimna la." But wait a second, didn't we say that it's talking about kalim? About, and it's interesting that they call it kalim, right, Ush? Why don't they call it a getchka? Right? Why do they call it a vessel of idolatry? Oh, I thought you were more yeshivish than you were. Anyone know getchka?
The Bichlal not.
Getchka is like the yeshivish way of saying like in Avodah Zarah or Tzilem.
Yeah, no. Kalim makes sense.
You think kalim makes sense?
Yeah, because kalim could be multiple different objects.
True.
Could be a
True.
bowl, could be a plate, could be a pitcher, could be a
Right, but we're talking about
silverware.
idolatry. Oh, so you're saying like all the kalim for the idolatry, anything that was
Yeah.
used. If it was a bowl that was used, I love it. Shkayach gadol. Shkayach, I love it. So kalim here, and it's talking about
Yeah.
idolatry and all of the kalim, all of the vessels that are used to worship this idolatry. So, doesn't it say that it's talking about that the pasuk is talking about kalim? Amar Kra, the pasuk says, "Asher atem your shimosam," right? That you are es Elohim. So the pasuk again, the pasuk says, "You destroy all the blazes, all the blazes." A beit of Junas, Gomek was a share of Dusham, going to the worshiping atem your shim osam, that you are getting in, you're inheriting as Elohim. And so it says right afterwards, it says they're gods. So we see that there's a hekesh. They specifically juxtaposed the beginning of the pasuk, the end of the pasuk. By the way, if anyone is at home and they want to follow along and they want to see the pasuk inside, or maybe for future editors that are looking, even though they would have the Gemara open, but it's Devarim Yud Beis. That's the pasuk. So, and it juxtaposes that you are inheriting to their gods. Magish Elohim likalim. So we compare their gods to the vessels. Ma kalim ad avdu av Elohim nami ad avdu. So, Ush, exactly like you said, if they had a bowl that they used for Avodah Zarah, it would obviously not be usher to use this bowl until this bowl was worshipped. So too, the Avodah Zarah itself is not to be destroyed until it's worshipped, talking about in the hands of the idolaters. And that's Shitas Rabbi Yishmael. Rabbi Akiva delo makish, but Rabbi Akiva doesn't learn this hakish. Rabbi Akiva learns that the Avodah Zarah that's in the hands of an idolater is immediately usher, is asur miyad, and the Avodah Zarah in the hands of the Israel is until it's worship does it become usher. So Rabbi Akiva obviously doesn't learn this hakish in this pasuk in Devarim Yud Beis Beis. Amar Lecha, he would say to you, as hifzik, when it says Schligs. Schligs loves this Gemara. And Harry does also, and so does my dad, and so does DVJ, and so does Ush, and so do I, and so does Rivka. A very famous Gemara about how Rabbi Akiva was darshan every time the Torah said S. He was darshaning all the S's in the Torah. The word that. So here we have a case of Rabbi Akiva darshaning the S. Rabbi Akiva would say S is mavzik, the Inyan. He says when it says Asher Adem Yorshim Osam Es Elohim, the fact that it says S is coming to tell us not to learn that juxtaposition. Do not compare the idolatry in the hands of the idolater to the vessels, which obviously only become usher once they are worshipped. Rabbi Yishmael, Rabbi Yishmael, Ashkechan, Avodah Zarah, Shol B'Klam, De'en Asura, Ad Shete'aved. Okay, but Rabbi Yishmael, that he does learn the Hekesh, he does learn the comparison of the vessels to the actual idol, that the idol in the hands of an idolater does not become forbidden until it is worshipped by the idolater. So we found it. Ashkechan, they found that din. That's not usher until it's worshipped. But the Israel asur miyad minole. Okay, but the fact that for the Israelite it's immediately usher, where does he learn that out from? Says Rabbi Yishmael Svarahu, it's a svara. It's logical. So an idolater, we have to wait for the idol to become asur ba'ana, forbidden to get benefit from. For the idol to get that din in the hands of the Avodah Zarah, it has to be worshipped. It's a svara because the idolater, the Israel as miyad, right? Israel, who is maybe held to a higher standard, idolatry in his hand is asur miyad. Ema the Israel klal v'chlal lo. Says the Gemara, wait a second, maybe idolatry in the hands of Israelite is not at all usher. Says the Gemara, right? You're telling me that you're learning that it's kal v'chomer to be usher miyad, and immediately I'll tell you maybe that idolatry that's in the hands of an Israelite is never usher, even if he worships it. Maybe that's the case. Hashda genisa mibaya. Wait a second. In this din, you have to hide. You have to put the idolatry. You have to throw it into the sea. You have to give it some cement shoes. Cement shoes. Now I'm on the news. That's like Snoop Dogg, but cement shoes. Now I'm on the move. Your family's crying. Now you're on the news. They can't find you, and now they miss you. Must I remind you, I'm only here to twist you? Okay, a little bit of Snoop Dogg to to bring words of a gadol in rap. Okay, anyways, Snoop Dogg, I might even put in top 10, but definitely in top 25. So if we have an opportunity to bring Snoop Dogg, jump at it. Okay, anyway, we got to throw it into the lake. We got to bury it underneath. You're telling me that we have to get rid of it, put it in Geniza, put it in cement shoes? Now I'm on the move. And the Isura low, that it shouldn't be usher immediately. Isura low mitzuri, it's not going to be usher at all. The Ema kid the Oved Kolavim. So say that it has the same din as Oved Kolavim. How do you know to learn one from the other, that the Israelite din should be different than the idolatrous din? Amar Kra, the pasuk says, "Ve'ez chatosechem asher azizem as the egel." Okay, there's another pasuk in Devarim. It says, "Ve'ez chatosechem asher azizem," the sins that you did, the egel. What's the example of an Israelite having the egel? It's having Avodah Zarah. It's the chet egel that they made. Right? Like so base. Moses says, I destroyed it and I made it into a fine granular material. Until it was as fine as dirt, dust. And I threw the dust in a nachal, which came down from the mountain, from the river. So he brings that pasuk. Mishaz Asiya Kamle Bechet. So he's saying he's calling it shteig, he's calling it a chatas. He's saying he's calling it the chatas, calling the Avodah Zarah a chet. They say, when did that chet of the chet egel start? The chet egel, the avera started. The sin of the golden calf started the second they made this calf. Says Rabbi Yishmael. So therefore, it would be Aster Miyad. That's Rabbi Yishmael's raya. Asher sees him as the egel. Bishas Aziyah Kumle Bechet. Ema Hanimila the Mekam Gavra Bechet. They say, no, that's enough to say that like the Am Yisrael did a sin. It's Surilo Mitzvah, but how do you know that it becomes Aser just because there's a chet? Amar Kra says in a different pasuk, Arur Haish Asher Yaseh Pesel V'Masecha. Cursed is the man who makes an idol and wears a mask. I mean, the same word in Hebrew for idol and mask should not be lost on anyone. But we're not getting sidetracked talking about the pandemic. She was on to new reasons to try to lock us down. So cursed is the man who makes the pesach on Masechah. So it's Mishazasiya come labor over. Right when he makes it, it's over. Ema Hanimil and make him gaver ba'oror. It says, yeah, put the person in this category of oror, itzuri, lo mitzuri. Maybe it won't be Azar. Answer the Gemara, answer Rabbi Yishmael, Toeva Hashem Ksiv. It says that it's a Toeva, an abomination. And if it's an abomination, so obviously it's Azar from Shasasiya. And that is Shitas Rabbi Yishmael. We just did like 20 lines of very Gishmak Lamdash, and we didn't need to see Rashi. Shlegs.
Yes, Achi.
Now we're going to see Rashi. But I have a question for you, Achi.
The Rashi. Let's go.
How do we know that Rashi was a great Talmud Chacham?
Because he didn't have the Rashi.
Oh, he's a Gemara without Rashi. Givaldic carrot. So we just learned all that without Rashi, but now we're going to see how he did. We're going to see if Rashi learns like us, or we're going to learn Rashi now like a Rishon. How did Rashi learn the sugya? We have how we learned the sugya. Let's see if we were mechaven to the Rashi. So the Gemara started. Amar b'kelim shenishtamshu b'hem la'avodas kochav makasim medaber. The pasuk of Avei Davdun. They destroy the place of Avodah Zarah. Rabbi Yishmael says it's talking about a targeted attack against the idolatry, and he uses the word kalim. All of the vessels. He used the word vessels. We got shligs and shligs in Shir.
Yes, sir.
Shkayach. All right, so it says it's talking about getting rid of the kalim, not just leveling all of the city. Doesn't it say in the Pasuk Mekomos? But it can't be talking about they have to destroy the places, because we say in Pasuk you're not destroying the mountain, you're not destroying the tree, you're destroying the gods on the mountain, gods, right? The Avodah Zarah, the idols on the mountain, and the idols under the tree. So it can't be that it's talking about that you're destroying the whole places. Es Elohim be'ai kruksiv. So Rashi's saying, you might think that there is other pasuk that like the Torah might be quoting. No, we're talking about the Es Elohim in the same pasuk that talks about Avei Tavdun. Okay. Magish Elohos. What? So the Gemara says he's talking about Kalim. From here they said, back in the Gemara, just to see where Rashi is going off of. From here they said, idolatry in the hands of an idolater is not Azar until it's worshipped. But we're saying that it's talking about It's the Habakalim Ksiv. And it says, but isn't it talking about the vessels that we established that he's talking about? I don't really 100% understand that question. That's the one, the Kuda, that like, we got to clarify. Amar Gra, Sheratem Yorshim Osam Es Elohim. Magish Elohim, Lekalim. Rashi says, Magish Elohos. Limekomos, the Ukminan, the Kalim. Wow. Okay, now I get it. When it's saying that it's talking about Kalim, they're saying that when the Torah says they have to destroy the places, understand that it's talking about not the places, but the Kalim, the vessels of the idolatry, but not the idolatry themselves. When they make a comparison from the gods to the places, what it's really making the idol, they call it Elohos, right? It's very interesting that they call the shiabud. They're not like Elohim. They're not gods. And this, by the way, quick tickety tangent, is the big difference between Am Yisrael and the shiabud Malchias. The pagans, they believe binitarianism. They believe that there's a God and equal and opposite Satan, Chas v'Shalom. Trey Rishuyos, this is called. This is a mistake of Elisha ben Avuya. We know the Satan is but a messenger, an agent of the Abishter, put there to test or to, and we can discuss what his role is in the Sefer Eov, what his role is in the Chazal, what is the Satan doing? But the Satan is just a Malach, he's just an angel of death, evil inclination. Who's Satan, who Yetzer Hara, who Malach HaMaves. So that's the big difference. But they call it their gods, who they worship. They worship Satan over there in Gaza, over there in the Vatican, over there in the Nazis, over there in NASA, in America, who took 20,000 German Nazi scientists into America. It seems that the Nazis didn't lose in World War II. They just regrouped and infiltrated America. Not to say that America was so pure beforehand. We know it was started by Washington, the Freemason, but that's an Andra Sugya, right, Shlegs? Andra Sugya. So, Ma Kalim Ad Yavdu. So just like the Kalim, it has to be once they're worshipped. There's the Chziv Asher Avdu Sham. Oh, because it says that that's where they worship. The Kalim Avdu, that they worship there. It says that they worship at the place, and when it says place, it really means vessel. So it says beferish that it has to be that they worship with it, right? So maybe, so too says Rabbi Yishmael. Also, the gods not of the shiabud idols until it is worshipped. Because of the comparison. Why didn't Rabbi Akiva learn that comparison? He learned that there was a hefsek between the S stops us from making the juxtaposition between the vessels and the idols themselves. So then we said, okay, well maybe, and then we say, well, why is an Israelite usher immediately? He says, Kal v'chomer. He says, Israelite is if the idolatrous idol has to be worshipped, the Israel's idol is usher immediately. You say, well, maybe it's not until, maybe it's not that, right? It's not until, or maybe it's not usher. They say, no, it has to be buried or it has to be hidden. So of course it's usher. The Alpina Lakama Mishum Beseser. Oh, maybe Vistam Beseser. That if a Yid puts it into his house, I don't know. Did we learn it from a pasuk later on? Oh, I lost my other Gemara, and it was very sad. And I got a new Gemara, and even though it's not marked up, and we started anew on the thing, I was like, okay, I still have a Gemara, but this Gemara, it brings the psukim that the Gemara brings, but it doesn't bring the psukim that Rashi brings. So I can't just look and tell you where exactly this pasuk that Rashi is quoting is and look at the whole pasuk, but we will see it likaman later on. when I was learning in Shayasha with Rabbi Brownstein, he would sometimes make me learn from old Gemaras, just so I was able to if I needed to. That I shouldn't be using even the new Gemaras that bring the psukim on the side as a crutch. And so shout out to Rabbi Brownstein. Okay, and that is Ve'ema maybe right. It's the same thing as the Ovigam Ajitabe, that it should be just like it's worshipped. That's what Rashi says, and that's how we learned it. We said no, we can't say that because why? The Pasuk says, and then the Pasuk says that look, we see that Eschatosayim, Asher the Egel is called a chait from the Shas of Asiya from when it's made. That is the Shita of Rabbi Ishmael, who learns that in the Gaza war, we should do a targeted attack. 10 minutes. DVJ. So we got to see in today's year, Rabbi Ishmael, that we should do a targeted attack, and we should get the Avodah Zarah, but we don't have to level the entire city. And I think that it's interesting that 2 days ago, we learned that there's a possible way to learn to read Abaye, that Abaye makes a difference between the worshipers, the komrim of the idols, and just the plain old worshipers. The komrim, right? And so it could be that that's Rabbi Ishmael, the Shitazo, that yeah, there is a difference. You have to get rid of the komrim, the leaders, but we have to spare and like the people that are being held hostage, just like us. But that's the thing. The Israel government is not interested in neither side. No one's interested in ending this. They're just interested. Both sides is the pagan shiabud satanic pedophiles, and that's both sides of the war. And so I'm would do if we had like Yeshiva School Show's army, what we would do. We're not done with the sugi yet, but this is according to Rabbi Ishmael. Okay, that it's a targeted attack, and it would be interesting to how are we going to differentiate? Is a lie, even though maybe we can ask them some questions on a lie detector. I don't know. We're still learning this sugi. We're still figuring it out, but if we can ascertain who's a chiller, we yo, who's vexed. No, I'm kidding. So Zukt the Heliga Gemara. Now we really only have 10 minutes, or maybe at this point 6 minutes left. But I want to at least start the Shita of Rabbi Ishmael, Rabbi Akiva. Rabbi Akiva says Davar Amevili De Toeva. Rabbi Akiva says no. It's not saying that cursed is the man that makes the pesel, it's a toeva. Right? Rabbi Ishmael says it's a toeva just to make the idol itself. It's just to make it. As your the pesel is toeva. Toeva says Hashem. Rabbi Akiva says no. It's just something that brings to a toeva, because the toeva is not the idol itself. Sans worship. Toeva is the idol once it's worshipped in the hands of the idolatry, according to Rabbi Akiva. Baby Mr. Tomorrow, let's get a whiteboard. Shkayach. Sheli v'shelachem shelai. So Rabbi Akiva, Rabbi Akiva, so now in the sheet of Rabbi Akiva that Avodas Gochavim, that it's Azr Miyad. That it's Azr Miyad. Azr Miyad Minali. Where does he get it from? Amar Ula, Amar Grub, Sila Elohim, Tisrafun Baesh. The remnants of their God you burn in fire. Misha Bazlu Naza Eloah. Only once it becomes Bazlu does it become a God. And then I'm going to go back with Rabbi Yishmael. The Idoch, but Rabbi Yishmael, he needs that learning. Kidditani, Rev Yosef, like Rev Yosef taught in Brisa. Kidditani, Rev Yosef. Like Rev Yosef taught, Minayin la'ovei kolavim sheposel Eloho. How do we know that the idol is puzzles? It's God. Shneimar Pesila Elohim Tisrafun Ve'esh. The Eidah and Rabbi Yishmael, he learns it from Shmuel. Amar Shmuel. Okay. Tomorrow we're starting anew in Shitas Rabbi Akiva. We saw Shitas Rabbi Yishmael today, and Shitas Rabbi Akiva is going to take us probably at least as long as it took us for Shitas Rabbi Yishmael. We spent maybe a half hour on it. So we will leave that for tomorrow. I want to see if there's maybe a taste this that we can see. It says Tanei in the Kalim. Says Tosfos. Tanei in the Kalim. Right? If it's not an Indian from the Komos, if it's not talking about destroying the whole place, leveling the place, and teachers talking about Kalim, the little dummy that Tikrov Ezhar said Hitarnu Le'er that we said was okay in Parakot Slamim is a toast we didn't see in last parak. The shiny husband over there is different. That they ate the idol, the idolatry. Umine, excuse me, Nafkul Antigrovas of Osglovim. From there we learned that something that's worshipped as of Osglovim is Aser. The Kra Kiksiv, when that passage was talking about Baal Peor Ksiv, Shehu Talish, because Baal Peor is not connected to the ground. It's not like the mountain or the tree. Venezda, that's how he became Aser. Vilahari Tikrovazo Asura. And therefore it's Tikrovas, anything you brought for it is Azer. Aval Gabevos Shel Mechover, but a mountain that they're worshiping or a tree. Interesting if that applies to a tree, because don't we know that we have to destroy the Asheras? So we got to see that. But is there so that it would be us? There's always I want to bring this. I want to bring this this idol I want to bring this cow for a Avodah Zarah for this mountain. The cow is not Aser B'Hana. It's probably not kosher, but it's not Aser B'Hana. Elagabe Kalim. But we do find this by the vessels. Like we conclude here. The Abagav did Divrei Kabbalah, and even though we don't even really have a riot, it's just Divrei Kabbalah. Divrei Kabbalah, sometimes that's a reference to a pasuk in Tanakh, in Nach, and not in Torah. It's only Divrei Kabbalah, or it's Mesorah. Ad the David Gemara Gemirila, until David HaMelech came that we learned the Gemara. Vaz the David Vaz Samchei Akra. So it was just David just put it as an asmachta, and we don't really learn it from that pasuk. I would like to see for this Tosfos a little bit late, a little bit more in the Gemara, and then we should have Siyata Dishmaya to get shot in Tosfos. Shkayach, Rebbe's Nayach, we did a Gemara, we did a Tesis. We got shot in Shitas Rebbe Ishmael. The Torah says, destroy the places where they worship. Rebbe Ishmael says, like in other places in Chazal, where they explain that the Torah is not really saying that we pull out an eye for an eye, but it's the monetary value. So too here, by a possible ear anidachas. So too here, by a possible ear anidachas. we do kachas and we get